Hey, welcome back. I was cleaning out some old boxes the other day, the kind you drag from apartment to apartment, and I found a relic, my first employee ID badge. The laminate was cracked, the photo was painfully young, but it got me thinking about that first real job, that feeling of being part of something. And then, almost immediately, I thought about what happens when that something decides you're not a part of it anymore. Not because you failed, but because you succeeded in asking for a seat at the table. I'm Ibnul J. Farabi, and this is the Unraveling Thread. Today, we're pulling on a legal and financial maneuver that has quietly become one of the most powerful anti-union weapons in corporate America. We're talking about Chapter 11 bankruptcy, but not the kind where a company truly dies. The kind where it goes into a chrysalis, sheds its obligations, and emerges lighter, meaner, and union-free. This is the story of the forever reorganization. Let's start with the basic premise. Bankruptcy, in the public imagination, is an admission of defeat. A company has failed, it can't pay its bills, and the courts step in to either liquidate what's left or, in a Chapter 11 reorganization, help it restructure its debts and hopefully emerge to fight another day. It's a second chance. But somewhere along the line, a group of very sharp lawyers and financiers realized something profound. This legal tool for saving failing companies could be even more valuable for profitable ones. Specifically, profitable ones burdened by what they saw as a pesky, expensive problem: union contracts. Here's how it works. A company, often one owned by a private equity firm after a leveraged buyout, files for Chapter 11. They cite unsustainable labor costs. They go to the bankruptcy judge and argue that to survive, they must reject their collective bargaining agreements. They must be allowed to slash wages, eliminate pensions, and gut benefits. The legal standard for this is called necessary for reorganization. But in practice, it's become a negotiation where the company holds all the cards. The threat is simple: let us break the union contract, or we'll liquidate the company entirely. Everyone loses their job. Faced with that binary choice, unions are forced to make horrific concessions. Wages can be cut by 30–40%. Decades-old pension promises vanish into thin air. And the company? It gets a competitive advantage not through innovation or better service, but through a legal loophole that lets it renege on its promises. I want you to think about the psychological violence of this. A worker spends 20–30 years at a plant. They've voted to unionize. They've negotiated in good faith. They've foregone higher wages at other points for the security of that pension and health care. They've held up their end of the bargain. Then, a new owner comes in, loads the company with the debt they used to buy it, and declares that because of that debt the workers didn't create, the workers' promises are now unaffordable. The social contract isn't just broken, it's retroactively voided by a financial engineering trick. And this isn't a rare, edge case scenario. We've seen it in airlines, in retail, in manufacturing. It's a playbook. The most infamous example might be the saga of Hostess Brands, the maker of Twinkies. In 2012, after years of mismanagement and private equity shuffling, the company went bankrupt. Management demanded massive wage and benefit cuts from the bakery workers' union. When the union, after having already conceded so much, finally said no, management shut down the entire company. They blamed the union for killing the iconic snacks. But look closer. The bankruptcy was the culmination of a strategy. The private equity owners had already extracted value. The executives got their bonuses, and the brand name and recipes were the real assets. A year later, Twinkies were back on shelves, made by a new company with non-union labor. The old workers' careers and pensions were the collateral damage in a financial restructuring. The idea of Twinkies was too profitable to die. Only the people who made them were. This leads me to the most insidious part, the forever reorganization. Because for some of these corporate structures, particularly private equity portfolios, bankruptcy isn't an end. It's a feature of the business model. Buy a company with debt, extract fees, sell off its assets, and if the remaining shell struggles under the debt you saddled it with, take it through Chapter 11 to wipe out labor costs and other liabilities. Then, repeat. The company exists in a state of perpetual financial distress, not in the marketplace, but on its balance sheet. A distress that is then used to justify perpetual concessions from the workforce. It's a cycle that enriches a few at the very top, while creating a permanent state of insecurity for everyone else. From my perspective, as an engineer and entrepreneur, this is the absolute opposite of how you build value. You don't build a great company, a lasting institution, by constantly breaking your core promises to the people who actually do the work. Innovation doesn't come from a demoralized, financially insecure workforce looking over their shoulder for the next bankruptcy filing. This isn't capitalism in any productive sense. It's a form of legalized value stripping. It confuses financial engineering with actual building, and it makes you wonder about the purpose of our laws. Bankruptcy was designed as a shield for the vulnerable, a chance to start over when genuine failure struck. But it has been weaponized into a sword for the powerful, a tool to force a do-over on deals that no longer suit them. It turns a social safety net into a corporate offensive strategy. The tragedy is that it pits workers against their own jobs. The union isn't fighting the company for a bigger piece of the pie anymore. It's being forced to argue with the company about whether the pie should exist at all. That is a fundamentally unequal, and I'd argue, undemocratic, fight. So where does that leave us? The unraveling thread here is the very concept of a promise. When a corporate promise, a pension, a wage scale, a right to collective bargaining, can be dissolved by a trip through the bankruptcy court, it tells every worker that no arrangement is truly secure. It pushes us toward a more transactional, more brutal, and less trusting economy. It says your years of loyalty are just another line item, easier to cut than the cost of raw materials. The takeaway is this: the next time you hear about a company filing for Chapter 11, look beyond the headlines about rescue and restructuring. Ask who is being rescued and who is being restructured out of the picture. Very often, the story isn't about saving jobs. It's about using the architecture of failure to dismantle the architecture of worker power. Thanks for listening. If this thread is one you want to keep pulling on with me, make sure you're subscribed to the Unraveling Thread wherever you get your podcasts. For more from me, Ibnul J. Farabi, and the whole team, visit our production home at Light Not Studios. https://www.lightnotstudios.com. Share this episode with someone who believes a promise should mean something. Until next time, take care.